What's going on, YouTube? Y'all squad. This is your boy Yoko Tees, and this is your review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'm about to say the real. We not gonna say what I was gonna say, but this is for Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 4, episode 2. This is what we're here to talk about. So yes, I know this video is late, and I want to be honest with you. I like to drink. That's one of those things. I like to do that. That's what I does. And I was drinking that night, and by the time, because after me spending time with my dog, because I need to love on her and whatnot, when I finally looked up, I saw that the show was actually 30 minutes into recording. I'm like, I'll do it later. So here we are later. Much, much later. Nevertheless, so there's a Valentine's Day shoot. This is with, what is that guy's name? Martell. He's having a Valentine's Day shoot for a little calendar, if you will. And I've already said that. So Martell calls Destiny because he doesn't have any baby oil, so he calls her to bring some baby oil. And let's not forget that he and Destiny were friends before Destiny became friends with Mel. This will come up again. I haven't gotten fully deep into the episode, so y'all will see this video will cut in and cut out. But I'm just saying, understanding what the dynamics are. Destiny arrives. She rehashes what happened between her and Melody and how, Melody overheard some things, this, that, and third. That's that on that. Like, I really feel like we're going to really pass through this episode because with some episodes, there is rehashing and, like, building for what is to come. And I feel like this might be this episode, but I might be speaking out of turn. Nevertheless, we got Melody and Stormy. So, Mel, gets advice for her hairline from Stormy because Stormy, I believe she has Mel has a skincare line. I believe that Storm has a hair care line. But she's getting advice from her, like, what are some pitfalls and this, that, and the third that you dealt with, this, that, and the third. Stormy brings up, so they talk about that. One thing I'm going to say is this. When it comes to that whole getting information, because one thing that Stormy did say is we are in a pandemic, so you don't want to sit here and say like, hey, I got 100 items of this when you only got 50. And if you do that, you need to make sure that you're getting it back in enough time to, ship it back out. We're in a pandemic, so things are slow, this, that, and third. So giving her some decent advice. One thing that I will say is for those that are doing business, because I'm in the process of starting up mine, even though this has been years in the making, and I should have did it a long time ago, but we're not here to talk about me. But one thing that I will say is for those who are starting a business, being an entrepreneur, is you want to be so quick to sit here and pin yourself as being the CEO when you're doing these businesses, especially from the ground up, where it is literally just you, that you need to be sitting here creating a standard operating procedures for each position, have it fleshed out, and once you have it fleshed out and understand it, then bring somebody else in and literally build that way. Even if you go to a system to where you're no longer in, like in this case, having to do it by hand and somebody else is doing it, these practices are still in place where you can always go back to it. Just something for you. But nevertheless, Stormy brings up the whole fellatio thing. Like, how you don't remember? Like, you remember. Mel says she don't remember. And then Mel invites her to her Christmas party. Mel can't say. So then Mel is trying to talk about what happened back at the end of the reunion where, conversations were being had between Tisha and Destiny. And she was like, yeah, because she was saying some crazy stuff. Stormy asked her, what did she say? And she was like, well, she was just saying some very negative stuff. So one of two things. Either A, it's some very damaging things that you don't want to come out on camera, or B, it was just general talks and this was you using this as a reason to be mad at Destiny. Again, I'm not saying Destiny is a great friend or anything like that, but if somebody asks you, what did this person say? If it was something where I don't want to say in front of these cameras, I'll tell you about it later, girl. It could be one of those, but the fact that you could even give that means that you were just looking for a reason to be upset with Destiny. Let's be very clear. Anyway, she says that Tisha is not welcome in her home. People might feel bad about that, but I understand it. Again, like, I am very forthcoming with a lot of stuff in my life. And one thing recently, my mother's birthday was actually yesterday, And we were having talks earlier this month about me throwing, because last year I cooked for her birthday, and I knew that her other children, my siblings, were going to come. So I made sure there was enough food for them. And this was in her apartment. Now we're in a three, well, technically it's really a two, well, we have a basement, first floor, and the second floor. The first floor and the basement are connected, and then the second floor where I'm at is by itself. Nevertheless, it was downstairs in her apartment. And like I said, I can't invite anybody to her house, but I knew they were coming. But I made sure there was enough food. And I wanted to cook this year. She did not want that to happen. I'm not going into details. But she had said to me, oh, well, you can have it upstairs. And I said it very clearly to her. Because one thing about me, especially for those of y'all who watch me on other panels and whatnot, y'all know I don't mince or mix my words. And I said to her, your eldest child's not allowed in my house. Slash apartment, because it's technically an apartment. And she couldn't say nothing. And we really moved right on, like we eased right on by that. Because that's the reality where this day is about you. This is the day that you were born, brought into this world. And had you not been brought into this world, we would not be here. So I'm not going to have something in my apartment knowing good and gosh darn well that you want your eldest child there, but he ain't allowed in here. So that is not what I'm doing. But again, I'm all about energies and all that, and auras and all the other stuff. If I know we ain't gelling, and if I know that your spirit is nasty, I don't want you in my place, because I don't even want that to remotely seep out. So I understood that, even though Mel be full of some nyah. Anyway, Stormy feels iffy with Tiffany. Cool, whatever. I don't really give a damn. We get Tisha and Marceau. They talk about Scott Matter and how, they still haven't moved in, this, that, and third, whatever. Wanda J. Blige shows up. Marceau calls her a daywalker. And I was just like, ooh. But hey, talk your ish. Wanda says she has a food truck. It is almost up and running. Marceau finds out via his wife that they have invested in the food truck. And he feels away. And Tisha was like, well, you said this and this and this and this and this. And that may be the fact. But if y'all have accounts that are joint, conversations do need to be had. And especially when you're doing business ventures, when you're investing, you have to add, it needs to be figured out. Are we a blind investor? Do we have control in it? If we're investing $100,000 and we're supposed to be paid that back, is there a projection of when we're supposed to get it? Because most businesses, especially those in the food industry, will be in the red for several years before they even get into the black. All of that being discussed, and Tisha just jumping the gun. Okay, whatever. And I'm just saying, just from a money standpoint. And it ain't got nothing to do with the whole, sex/gender thing. It's just they need to do a better job of conversing and communicating with each other. Wanda says her business is going to be loaded potatoes. And then Marceau says, well, I could really better have this conversation if you brought me some coffee. Now, this is one of those where you're being very disrespectful and you're being very demeaning. And this is one of those where I don't know who Tisha is, but I know the women that I grew up with, the women that I am related to, and the women that are on the block around my way. They would have, when I tell you they would have got up and slapped the dog piss at that boy, where it's just like, you not finna do my mama like that. I might be wrong by not coming back to you and this, that, and the third, but what you not finna do is you not finna sit here and have my mother get up and make you some damn coffee because you trying to prove a point. Because let's keep it cute. Wanda was just like, your wife can get up and make you some coffee. Oh, Lord. And then Wanda brings up Maurice, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we back. So we ended with this particular question from Wanda, and we pick up with it where Wanda is asking if Marceau ever had an apartment with Martell. Now, Marceau cannot give the whole yes or no question. Now, Marceau likes to double talk, where he will sit here and talk around in circles, but in addition to that, he does what a lot of people do where they don't want to accept fault, where they will sit here and they will continue to branch off into other conversations. So at the end of it, you end up in a certain place to where we're talking about this over here when the conversation started right here and you don't even know how you got over there. But he couldn't just say yes or no. And I even though I'm not the biggest fan of Wanda J. Blige, I'm not the biggest fan of her. I can appreciate her trying to say, just answer the question. You're doing too much. Just say yes or no. But she allowed herself to get swept up in, the mime games and tricks that Marcel likes to play. Whatever. But one thing that I did notice is it seemed like this particular situation was like spearheaded by Tisha, because she wasn't saying nothing while they were having the conversation, and this is one of those where people know how to sit here and put a bug in somebody's ear, and that person can run with it. Now, Tisha may not be the strongest person or the strongest woman that we've seen on reality television, but I think that she knows her mother, and she knows that she can put a bug in her mom's ear or say certain things that her mother will run with it and say everything that she know that she can't say, because she could easily say, well, that's what my mother thinks, that's not me. And I feel like that's what that was. Nevertheless, moving on. We get Jalen, Kimmy, and Maurice at Jalen's house. Jalen brings up the picture and how he got caught up in the comments. And guess what? That sometimes happens. One thing that I did not mention with my last review is, even though Tisha was full of BS when she was saying how she doesn't, you know, read the comments and whatnot, but she did say one thing along the lines of, I avoid it for the most part, but if I'm having a good day, I'll read the comments, which to me is stupid. Good. If I'm having a good day, I'm not going to listen to, like, read or watch something that's going to put me in a worse space or worse spirit. And for those of y'all who don't know, when I take breaks from YouTube, especially recently, it's because I feel that I'm getting too attached and I need to release, decompress, and then come back. Because overindulging in this social media space, it's not good for the spirit. But nevertheless, he's talking about that and how these things were brought up. And again, Tisha had even said when Tisha said, I don't read the comments, I initially went up for her, but the reason that I didn't say anything then, because she said if she's having a good day, she'll read it. Let's be clear. I do YouTube. Yes, I do. I've been caught up in some controversy on the YT. Yes, I have. There are certain, blog spaces that have commented on me. It has happened. But my thing is this: if I know that, okay, in this particular space, it's not positive, it's not anywhere that I need to be, I don't go there. I don't go places where I'm tolerated, or damn near tolerated. I go where I'm appreciated. So I'm not going to go to a space where I know as soon as I go there, it's going to be negative. That's just like if I had a TV show, right? Like, let's just say Kenny the Game, and I type in the hashtag. Type it in the hashtag, there is a strong chance that there's going to be tweets and IG posts and whatnot that are not favorable to me. If that isn't good for my spirit and whatnot, I don't want to go there. And for those of you, and I would have to go and figure out which season it was, but there was one season in South Park where they dealt with trolls where, not Randy, Kyle's dad, I can't think of his name right now, but Kyle's dad was trolling Skank, Hunt, whatever it was. And then there was this whole thing where they were able to sit here and trace who said what on social media and what their titles were and whatnot, and how that whole thing blew up because we live in an age to where you can hide behind an avatar. You can hide behind a name and nobody knows that you are trolling. You have some people that they live miserable, horrible lives to where misery loves company. So because I'm going through this, I'm going to go out of my way to make somebody else feel bad. It is what it is, right? Anyway, moving on. Kimmy double talks talking to her son. That's all that really happened there. There was really no whatever there. Now, have Maurice and Jalen built a rapport over the years? Yes. But was his mother, Kimmy, double talking to her son? Yes. Moving on. So we have Mel's party. So Kiki, that is Tisha's cousin, she arrives. Kiki and Stormy ask about the photo. So this is starting the BS. And this is one of those where, again, I've been watching reality television long enough to know where certain stuff, either it is orchestrated or one person does not have the intestinal fortitude to be able to do the bidding. So they're going to bring somebody else in to say or do what they don't feel they have the spine or the reproductive organs to do. So that's what they're doing. And let me see. Mel brings up Tisha and what they were going through, and then asks her cousin if she's heard anything in reference to Tisha and Fidelity, their marriage, and all this other stuff. Now, there's been this big uproar about, okay, well, you're related to this person, this and that. And here's the reality: just because you relate don't mean you family. Let's be very clear about that. And if she felt that was the time to do it, that was the time to do it. Look, I am not I'm not cool with my eldest brother. I'm not. It is what it is. At this particular point in time and space, there are certain things that I choose to not discuss, not even on social media, but in front of our other relatives, because it's like these are conversations that I feel that we should have one on one at most with our other brothers and mother, where we have this conversation because he's the patriarch of the family. He really is. And I don't want to mess up what's going on, but as of recent, months, come to realize other people have their feelings about them too. So if the conversation never came up in mixed company, I'm gonna just have it. I don't really care, but it's still like it's certain things you don't want to talk about. There's still the whole thing of closest and whatnot, but people have to realize just because you related don't mean you family, and people do things to you, and sometimes I wish that people would just go ahead and say they did this to me, and this is why I'm saying this. But so often, and I'm guilty of this too, where we go through life where we don't tell our side of the story to protect the other person because we feel that it makes us look better and all this other stuff, while this person is over here sitting here talking cash money. But whatever, I'm just saying. But on some real ish, like in terms of just regular, constructs of families and what those tend to be, Kiki, you was wrong. And this is one of those where she should have at least said or addressed why she's saying what she's saying. Nevertheless, we get Kimmy and Tiffany talking. Tiffany felt that she came at her a little bit too hard, with the whole being fired from the whole commerce thing. But if that wasn't the case, you really could have dove in very heavy and defended yourself at the reunion, like really, really delve in. And yeah, whatever. And Tiffany says, she left. It was a mutual thing. She left. And Kimmy says, that they're good and it is what it is. And then a comment was made, I believe it was by Tiffany, about not holding somebody to something that they did when they were 12, which that was geared towards Stormy, but I don't know what that is. So if you know what that is, please let me know. But I don't. But that is it. That is all that I have. That is the review for season 4, episode 2. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you all for the next video, which should be, not should be, will be, The Real Housewives of New Jersey. If not, later on this night, tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Peace.